The people who are 1,000,000% on top of holiday management, Jewish people.
Yes,
they
you are
totally,
welcome, my friend,
totally
L'chaim.
take advantage of all of the Christian holidays. They're like, Christmas, that sounds great, cool.
Yeah.
We're doubling up on it. And at the same time, they do all their own specific holidays. So if you're Jewish, you're just sprinkling holidays in every month.
Every
have
Jewish
holidays.
holiday is just, and here's another time that they didn't kill us. And here's another time that they didn't kill
They're
us.
lamer than that. It's like we dropped an egg that didn't break one time. Everyone gets off from work today. Just let it go. Okay.
I mean, I've said it before. Like, I don't care what it's celebrating. If I get the day off work and like everybody can chill, it can be any day in the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Harvey Weinstein Day.
That's a good one.
You know what? It's a Monday off.
Memorial.
This is the day Cosby got found unguilty.
Yeah.
No, we get his conviction and his release. Like,
you're right.
The resurrection
like
story.
Easter and
Good Friday.
Good Friday.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
This is a damn good idea. Someone tell Hallmark.
That's a good. They're holidays where we just like we're supposed to like sit around soberly, like, man, what a terrible person. It's good to reflect on that, but really, we're getting cakes, candies. You know,
We have one of those. It's except that you have to reflect on what a terrible person you are. It's called Yom Kippur. That's the Jewish guilt version of it.
Yeah,
You go, I'm really a piece of shit. But can we eat now?
What is the genesis of Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur?
It's the Day of Atonement. So it's like basically like every Friday in Catholicism, but we only have to do it once a year.
So there's literally no reason that day is a special day.
Based on something, right?
I mean, it's like a week after Jewish New Year. So I think you start the new year by reflecting on what a piece of shit you were the previous year. You starve yourself for a day, and then you feast at the end of it, and that's pretty much how it goes.
That's interesting. I remember being jealous of my I played hockey with a few Jewish kids when I was young, and I was always like, Hanukkah, so that's real? Like 8 days of presents or whatever, and they're like, but don't believe what you hear. Christmas, you get like 15 presents all there. My parents, they get me one. And so every year I'm capped to 8 presents.
I had
like,
so my birthday is December 1st. So my birthday most years would be right in the middle of Hanukkah. So I had the birthday Hanukkah combo. You know,
is that good or bad?
That
could go either way. Could go either way. In the beginning, it was bad because I was really on a volume game. And then when I learned that I could kind of roll those all into one, heavy hitter, then it was cool. Yeah, then it was cool.
Yeah. My Jewish friends growing up said that only the 8th day of Hanukkah got good presents. They're like, dude, I literally got a dreidel for Hanukkah tonight.
That's bullshit.
That was the thing. You'd get some pretty janky shit. You'd get like Hanukkah related stuff. So there
pencils,
was the dreidel,
erasers,
the candles,
stickers.
There's what they call
Subway
the gelts,
coupons,
which is the chocolate cookie coins. You've seen those, the chocolate coins.
Yeah.
Those were a thing you would get, and then I don't know why did I feel like the first night we always got better presents, but I could see how you could ramp it up to 8. Yeah. Really keep them.
They start you off excited, and then just 6 days of this is a bunch of fucking dreidels and nonsense.
And then you have to almost burn your house down every day. It's perfect. Really.
I wanted to ask another question: Is Hanukkah far and away the best Jewish holiday, or are there better ones that we don't know?
Are there better ones?
I didn't know if they have presents in other ones.
No, Hanukkah's the only gifts one. There's one called Purim, which is like the fall kind of festival, and there's like a feast involved. It's not that cool, honestly.
Thanksgiving's our second best one generally. People will disagree, but it's the food.
Oh well, Passover is sort of the Jewish Thanksgiving. That's where they didn't kill us that time. That's the Pharaoh, the 10 plagues, the escape from Egypt.
That's
all that
where you
shit.
killed them. That's where God came and took their first.
God smited them in that one. Yes,
smoked them.
They were smoot.
Ties
was
into
ill that day.
This ties into Taylor's theory of Jewish people having excellent holiday management. You guys have your own Thanksgiving. In addition, it's not like you're not celebrating Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
No,
we do.
doubled up.
It's funny that we celebrate Thanksgiving because it's like genocide the other way. Like we celebrate both sides of different genocides.
It's a celebration of American greatness.
It's either
you're
like
allowed to win,
manifest
right?
destiny.
You're allowed to be bigger and stronger than your opponent. You're allowed to succeed. That's what Thanksgiving was all about. Where we,
yes, you are allowed to distribute smallpox blankets.
That's a lie. That's Big Red Man telling you lies. That's what that is. That
like the gum company.
Yeah, the gum company. It's a coincidence. The connection with Native Americans and the Redskin thing is
or a giant member of Wu-Tang
the chewing gum company. The chewing gum company has it out to pull the wool over your eyes. They actually never did distribute those smallpox blankets.
Oh, really?
That's not true.
No, it's not true. That's Big Red Man telling you lies.
It's that fucking gum
company.
company.
Don't get me started on Wrigley gum. They're worse.
I mean, they lose their flavor.
They're anti-Semites.
Conspiracy.
Yeah,
they're anti-Semites.
Oh my God! I just had to. Someone sent me a meme today that was horribly wrong, and it was like, "Here at Ford, we're proud of our founder Henry Ford," and then there was the guy who was like, "Here at Volkswagen," like looking the other way. And I was like, "I need to tell you something about Henry Ford, my friend." And he started a magazine called The International Jew.
Did it sell well?
Unfortunately.
Was it about how great?
I would imagine that it like failed, and then he's like, "Oh, I guess I'm getting into cars."
Yeah.
the Jew thing
but like when I hear that magazine, I think it's like for the Jew on the go.
Like it's Mr. Worldwide.
It's like GQ magazine, but for Jews.
Well, you know what? It's the word "the." The word "the" is what does it. If it was International Jew magazine, you could sort of see that as being an optimist by Jews
hunter.
or Jews.
Like if it was
Jew,
like a rabbi with like gold chains and like drinking scotch and like a cigar, that would be international. That'd be like GQ.
Right. Jew. Yeah. Like it's like a rabbi, but in Venice. You know, like in the canals, like really having a nice time. That's
75 years in a row, the rabbi on the cover is wearing the same outfit because rabbis do that.
Yeah,
it was funny when you led into that. I was like, "Oh, he's clearly going to have the problem with the founder of Volkswagen."
Yeah,
where they're like, "And our founder, Mr. Volkswagen, a very reclusive man, you know,
Mr. Volkswagen.
Certainly not some other fellow."
No, not the other founder. We need a people's car. What's that, sir?
The people's car.
What's that, sir?
See, this goes back to my thing about like bad people can have good ideas. And it's foolish for us to stick our head in the sand, okay?
Of course.
Henry Ford invented the automobile assembly line while also
and charcoal
using the printing press to publish the International Jew.
Look,
2 great ideas.
First of all, the man was he was just trying to get the word out. Let's be honest here. And second of all, he also invented charcoal, which everybody forgets. Charcoal is I'm very big on charcoal. I like the charcoal grill. I got some charcoal.
I feel
outside.
like charcoal was invented before him.
I think
I invent it every time I go camping.
No,
maybe it was just the briquette. Maybe it was just the quick.
It was the briquette. Well, see, he had so many of the so much leftover like junk wood from making the cars, and he didn't know what to do with it because there's all these like burn ends and scraps and stuff, and he marketed it as charcoal.
Burn ends.
Someone should have told him that charcoal is flammable. Still use it
like the Jew. No,
oh, Jesus Christ!
But the charcoal catches faster.
Would you like to see my bar mitzvah bracelet? It's right.
Oh
here.
wow, that's
11,
not a
12,
medical.
11/12/94, baby.
Did you make bank on your bar mitzvah, Matt?
I thought you were allergic.
Yeah. Have I never told you that story? I did make bank on my bar mitzvah.
I don't think so.
How was the bar mitzvah?
I was not really into being Jewish when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, not because like I, whatever. I wasn't like self-loathing, but it was like when I got sent to Hebrew school when I was like 8, I was like, why does an all-knowing God not understand English? I was that level of inquisitive that religious leaders really don't like. They're not into that.
They just want you to roll with it.
Yeah. And so I didn't really want to have bar mitzvah. I thought it was dumb. I still think it's kind of dumb, but eventually my dad was like, listen, if you do this, for your mom, because my mom is more Jewish than my dad. My dad doesn't really give a shit. He goes, if you do this for your mom, it'll really make your mother happy. And once you're a man, after the ceremony, I will never make you go to temple again if you don't want to. You will have the choice. You'll never have to go back if you don't want to. And also, we're going to have a party. We're going to invite all, my friends. They're all going to give you money. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, deal. And we had the party, and I got a lot of money. I really did. And I couldn't touch it until I was 18. And it's a good thing, too, because when I was 13, I wanted a computer with a Pentium processor. And I would have fucking spent all of it on that shit. And ended up, I ended up being able to buy a car when I was 18. Nice. And it was a nice car. I took out all the money and bought a Corvette.
So
Jesus Christ, that's way better than the birthday.
It was. And and my mom got really pissed when I came home with this Corvette, and my dad stood up for me and he was like, no, he did the bar mitzvah. He got the money. He didn't touch it until he was 18. And then he said, I will cover the insurance for 6 months. And then you're fucking on your own covering the insurance for this fucking thing. 18-year-old with a red Corvette. But yeah, I actually did get a bunch of money for it.
I've thought about
That's
it.
awesome.
So Jewish kids get a lot of money at 13 years old for their bar mitzvah.
Some
Christian
do.
Kids,
not all do, but some
right.
do, yeah.
Christian kids get less money, but they get it at like 2 months old for their christening.
Right.
So the move is when you're 2 months old, invest it wisely.
Buy Bitcoin at 2 months old. That's
right. Yeah. You just make some smart decisions at 2 months. And then by the time you're 18, the money can be roughly equivalent.
Wait, was I supposed to get christening money?
I was sitting here thinking the same shit. I was like, wait,
really?
I didn't get a dime of so-called christening cash.
Both our kids
I wasn't
got
even
like
baptized. I don't know
$1,300 or so for christening. And
yeah, if you rolled that into 10 years, 12 years of
this is important life advice. So both our kids got like $1,300 for their christening money, and that is what we use to start their college accounts. And it just grows from there. So if you're new parents, like so many of our listeners, do that. Kick off your kids' college accounts with whatever money you get in the christening as gifts.
Yeah, just be Christian and Jewish.
Wrap it up, you tards. I've met half of you. Don't you? No. No.
But then there's also the other side of it, where once you're like an adult, now Matt probably feels like pressured for when your friends are having their bar mitzvahs or bat mitzvahs that you're like, I don't want to be cheap. I got to throw them a decent amount, right?
Well, I don't have any friends who have kids old enough yet, but I will not be stingy when it comes to that. I will be a heavy hitter. I got, where this bar mitzvah, my dad was in the fashion business. He was, and this bracelet was actually a gift from Ralph Lauren, which was pretty cool. There was some heavy hitters at my bar mitzvah. It's like you're the kids you go to school with, and then your parents' friends. And my parents' friends they had some heavy hitters up in that bitch.
Did they have a big party for you?
We had a pretty big party. It seemed really baller at the time. But one of my grandparents, my last grandparent, passed away 2 years ago, and I got her copy of my bar mitzvah album was sent to me, and I looked through the pictures. It turns out not that baller, honestly. I mean, it was not as baller in hindsight as I really thought it was at the time.
Everything looked bigger back then.
There was a couple. Was what?
Everything looked bigger back then.
Right. My theme was sailing. I couldn't have been whiter. I was the whitest person ever.
Sailing
themed bar mitzvah. Yeah. But there was some kids who I went to school with where I remember them being fucking crazy. I mean, whole set pieces. One was a place called Cipriani in New York City, which, if you've ever heard of it, is like a seriously baller spot on 42nd Street. One was at the Rainbow Room, which is above Rockefeller Center with the revolving, center fucking thing. I mean, there was some serious heavy hitters. I went to school with the kids of some really terrible people. I went to school with Annie and David Sackler. You might know their father, Richard.
Yes, they love pushing opium into the country.
Yeah, who was the OxyContin guy. There's now that show Dope Sick about him on Hulu, which I can't recommend highly enough. It's very depressing, but very good. Yeah. And basically everyone who crashed the economy in 2008, I went to school with all of their children. So it was, it was interesting.
I went to a bunch of bar and bat mitzvahs when I was a kid. I grew up in New Jersey.
So it was every weekend, probably, right?
Dude, I don't even know how many I went to.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's not a ton, but like 8. I don't know.
I went to a very Jewish school, and they had to publish the schedule, so that everyone could go to everyone else's. And there was probably like 30, 40 a year that you would go to. It was a bunch.
Some of them were really nice, although I don't remember like how nice, right? Because I have this distorted perspective. I remember some had ice sculptures, which I thought was pretty neat.
Yeah, ice sculpture. That was a defining line. Yeah.
But what we liked the most were the elevators. Like we were just dumbass children who would go up and down the elevators constantly, and it would, like that was the coolest thing.
So easily entertained.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of the Super Baller ones. The rest of them pretty much blended into one deal. There was one really religious kid, and the ceremony was like 3.5 hours long, and you were like, "Why did I agree to come?"
Thumbs down.
Yeah,
that's what weddings.
I didn't know
like
that
too.
so much of it was like up to the individual person being bar mitzvahed or whatever, because like the one that stuck out to me the most. Like, the kid apparently has a little bit of leeway of like how much they want to do. Like there is a minimum amount of reading Hebrew you can do.
Yes. Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be more the pace the first time I went to one. Like I thought it was going to be more the pace of a baptism, because I'd seen baptisms. Baptism, that's like a car wash, in and out. It's so quick that the priest or pastor, whoever, they're going to say a couple words, dunk the kid, dry him off. There's a prayer at the end. You're home. This, like, it was a guy on my hockey team, and I remember sitting there, and he got maybe 25 minutes into chanting Hebrew, and I'm like, this isn't going to end anytime soon. And I was one of the only kids there. Like, apparently, like, my parents wanted me to go, like, oh, it'd be cool to experience, like, the Jewish custom thing. All the other kids got to go straight to the party afterward.
Oh,
no
really?
one else other than like grandparents.
Oh, no. Really? Not everyone went. Oh, it was sort of unwritten where if you were going to go to the party, you had to go to the ceremony. No one really got to do one without the other.
Well, then I'm glad that I wasn't the dickhead, because I didn't realize at the time.
Well, there's like levels of Judaism, right? So there's like Reform, which is kind of like the modern, go to temple for a couple holidays a year and don't do much else.
Yeah, then you've got about this.
Yeah, then you got the conservative, which is like you start to like keep kosher, and maybe you go to temple every day, and maybe you do the Sabbath.
Every day?
Every week, excuse me.
Okay.
And then you and maybe you do Sabbath where you don't fucking use your phones and shit on. And then there's Orthodox, which is like where you really are fucking hardcore, and the girls are wearing terrible skirts, and stuff like that. Men are wearing yarmulkes, and then you have the Hasidim, which is like the fucking the curls and the trench coats.
They go hard.
Yeah, they're really smelly. They don't.
So what were you? Was conservative the popular one around you?
But for me, most of my people were Reform, and Reform is good. A Reform bar mitzvah is about the length of a wedding. It's like 25-30 minutes of ceremony. The kid is usually speaking the Torah portion, not like chanting it. If they're chanting, you're probably into conservative. You're probably.
Have you ever heard the old tapes of Howard Stern doing that chanting thing, like singing the song and everything? Like, for whatever reason, his horrible parents recorded it, and so he has the whole ceremony, and he's played it on the air before, and his voice is so high pitched because he's like he's
13, yeah.
13, and it's this high pitch, and I can't duplicate it, but he's singing the whole thing in Hebrew, and it goes on and on and on, and he just lets it play, and the longer it goes, the more awkward and embarrassing.
It's almost like a Family Guy bit where it just like goes forever.
It's one of those Conway Twitty too long. Bits.
I'm from the South, so I didn't meet a Jew until I was a man grown.
Did you think they had horns? Because that would be funny.
I had no concept of what a Jew even was. The only information that I had came from like my grandmother on her refrigerator. There was a sticker, or there was a magnet that said,
I like
my
where
God.
this is going.
Yeah, I know, right? You're like, oh shit, what does it say? The only good Jew.
Beware.
No, it said, my God is a Jewish carpenter. And,
yeah.
And just what we heard from the Bible about the Hebrews and stuff like that. But I never met a Jew. I couldn't understand why anybody disliked them so much.
Yeah, we're cool. We're fun.
Yeah, and I still really don't understand quite so much. I mean, a little, I guess.
We
all get it, right?
The ongoing hatred of Jews. It is weird. But I didn't have to do any chanting though. I did. What I did instead was I played the shofar, which is the curly ram's horn trumpet. I could do that because I played saxophone and trumpet when I was a kid, so I blew the shofar, and that was as really as Jewish.
See, I certainly see everything I know about this comes from Seinfeld and like the Larry David Show and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
So no experience with any of this. See, and even most of my I've got a few Jewish friends now, And I thought the other day, I was like, wait a minute, aren't I essentially a Jew? Like this guy, me and this guy do the exact same thing. He doesn't go to temple.
Yeah.
He eats pork. Like I've never met a Jew who didn't eat pork. Do you?
I mean, I do know a few who, like, not that I hang out with regularly, but people I grew up with and went to school with who kept kosher, which kosher is dumb in 2021, but kosher, like in 300 BC, probably kept a bunch of people alive. Like it probably kept like back. It was like science, like it don't, shit that would kill you if it wasn't refrigerated. Like, you shouldn't.
Yeah,
eat,
pork has lots of parasites. And, and shellfish can't be trusted.
Yeah, like it did make some sense at some point thousands of years ago. It's pretty dumb now.
Well, see, my Arabic friend, even him, he's just like he doesn't have a lot of experience with pork. It seems like, just like listening to him talk, but he's had bacon, and that's all he needed to know. That's all he needs to know. Like he's never had like a ham steak or like
good. Yeah,
he's never had like a big like honey baked ham or anything. I don't think.
It's
he's had
the best
bacon.
part about being Jewish is that all you have to do. You don't have to learn Hebrew. You don't have to have bar mitzvah. You don't have to go to temple. You don't have to do anything. If you call yourself a Jew in public, that's good enough for 99.9% of other Jews. It really is. And so I don't do anything religious at all. I don't give a shit. All I do is I wear this bracelet, which I've worn for going on almost 30 years.
Fancy.
And I make the food. I love to cook Jewish food. I like to cook Jewish food for my friends because it's fucking delicious. Honestly, it's like not for any reason besides it tastes very good. Yeah. So I cook the food, and that made my grandparents happy and my mother happy enough. And so whatever. And I still haven't gone to a temple except for my little sister's bat mitzvah. Since mine, I have not set foot in a temple.
Good for you. Keep that streak going, man. That stuff's boring.
Yeah, I can't
believe.
I mean, it just really sounds like you're in a club, like some sort of like finance club is what it comes down to. like that. It seems like that's how like most Jews treat Judaism. It's like a kind of a racket they got going on.
Well, if you go to a lot of country clubs in the Northeast, it's basically the same thing.
A holiday racket. They're racking up all these weekends, these 3-day weekends.
Just getting together, taking over the media. The usual.
The normal part and parcel. Yeah, I mean, Kyle. Based on what Matt just said, statistically, we could jump in, fake it, cash in on all those sweet-ass holidays. And if anyone ever asks a question and is like, Kyle, are you even Jewish? You're like, that's unbelievably anti-Semitic.
Yeah. That's it. That's you. You have it. The one thing I didn't do that I wish I did is a thing called birthright. You ever hear of birthright?
Yeah, you get a free vacation to Israel.
You get a free vacation to Israel. All you have to do is be under 26 years old and say you want it.
Even if you're a felon?
Question. I don't see why not. They're a forgiving people.
Right?
I mean, I think they're probably going to require some sort of evidence before they shell out a few grand for you.
I'll do that whole thing Kramer did in that episode of George did in the episode is I'll become an Orthodox.
Converts.
Yeah. I'll go full Orthodox, whatever the fuck he was.
Latvian Orthodox.
Latvian Orthodox. Yeah.
The lure.
What is so alluring to you at the church?
Talk 20 minutes.
But what happens on the birthright that they really don't tell you because they pitch it beforehand, like, you're going to go learn about your history and whatever. When you get there, what really happens is that they encourage you to have sex with other Jews. It's indoctrination into literally making more Jews. So they actually encourage you to bone on the trip. I mean, it's very funny, the whole thing.
Do women go for this?
That's great.
Yes.
Huh. Because I have found it's not difficult to convince guys to have sex.
Well, it's about having guys that convince guys to have sex with Jewish girls.
My inner monologue sounds just like Fred Savage, and it's just like, and that's the moment he realized he was a Jew.
Yeah.
That's a thing to say.
It is a fun religion if you don't actually take it that seriously. They're not, and if they're not trying to exterminate you that year,
That's how most Catholics are.
Oh, come on.
It's fun for most of them because they go twice a year.
Yeah. Religion's great when it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
It's completely irrelevant to your life. It's great.
As long as
it's an identity I don't have to do anything for. Okay.